So, Rob, take it a different direction. In your professional experience, what are the kinds of projects you do not recommend trying to use solar PoE for?
Well, I think the major thing is cost. So as I mentioned earlier, it's very linear with the amount of power you're using. So if you've got a very large system, all of a sudden it starts to become very expensive, and then you start to compete with utility lines. So if you've got, if you've got something that ends up being really big that needs hundreds of watts of energy, then like a kilowatt or something, like that you're going to find that that's going to be somewhere in the thousands of dollars plus range for the solar site. At that point, ends up being more economical to run the AC lines an extra half a mile or a mile or something like that. So I think that's the big thing. I mean, solar can theoretically work for anything. The question is, does it make economic sense? And generally, we see that's where the issue comes in. The bigger the loads, the bigger the power system. All of a sudden, you start competing against other alternates like a generator, especially if it's temporary, or running AC lines out, even if it's temporary. So again, it all comes down to economics sometimes.
Okay. Is there like a lower threshold where you get, it's a small enough device you don't recommend doing it? I mean, we in our work we've been talking about 10, 15 watts. That's pretty small. I mean, you're talking like a single light. Is there a lower bound?
Well, generally, I think the example of the system we were working with before, which is less than 50 watts, I found that generally stuff in the 50 watt or less range, and generally that I power up a small camera, the radio, the losses in the PoE itself, and a few other little things. Generally, you can find that those are less than 50 watts or so, and that usually ends up being just a couple of solar panels and a couple of batteries, and might be looking on the order of $2,000 to $3,000, something like that for your system, which seems to be pretty economical. And again, that covers most of the applications I can think of. You can get one or two cameras out there with your radio and maybe even power up a server or something like that.
Thank you for joining this quick cut of Converge PoE, a live stream where we cover all the different topics you want to know about products that are coming onto Power over Ethernet or in ICT in general. Join us every other Tuesday for our live stream to talk to the experts yourself. Your comments matter. What you need to know is what we want to know. So join us every other Tuesday at 11 a.m. right here on your pick channel.